A lot of people talk about doing things, but entrepreneurs actually do things. You have to execute to have an idea. The last 2 years have been amazing for both the Entrepreneur Center and for Nashville. The construction for our new permanent home for the Entrepreneur Center is underway on Rolling Mill Hill, and we will relocate to what will be known as the creative campus of Nashville, a place where dozens of companies every year will be born and become part of the fabric of our community. We've screened together over 1,000 new startups. We've helped dozens of companies get started. And over 200 people are working today that weren't working before, because we're all here making a difference.
You all are the reason that we're here and that we've come so far. As many of you know, this has been a long time coming for us, and we're so excited that the day has finally arrived. Over the past 2 years, we've been working with the City of Nashville, the State of Tennessee, EDA, and some of the top members of our community to fund the renovation and build out of our new home. As you'll hear today, this area, this campus, and this building means so many things to so many people. I wanted to take a brief moment to tell you what it means to me. We began working on this project over 2.5 years ago, planning, designing, identifying funding sources, and talking about the vision of Nashville's entrepreneurial ecosystem that so many of us have shared. This building, like all the buildings on this site, is a nationally registered historical landmark, of which there are only 2,500 nationwide. Through the tremendous support of the U.S. Department of Commerce EDA, specifically the Atlanta Regional Office, the State of Tennessee, ECD, City of Nashville, MDHA, and our own board member, Mr. John Ingram, we are transforming and preserving this historic landmark into a LEED Silver certified, state-of-the-art, technology-enabled mothership of entrepreneurship and innovation. We connect entrepreneurs with critical resources locally, across the state of Tennessee, and across this great nation. But it hasn't been easy. This project has been very much a labor of love and is a great example of entrepreneurial determination and perseverance. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'd like to take a few moments to recognize and thank the many organizations that have helped us get here today. In no particular order, I'd like to extend a very special thank you, first to our funding and financing sources, the U.S. Department of Commerce, specifically the Economic Development Administration, EDA, and its Atlanta Regional Office, the Tennessee's Department of Economic and Community Development, the City of Nashville, Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency, our private donors, and John Ingram, the Turner Family Foundation, Pinnacle Bank, and Avenue Bank. To those who have aided in the planning, coordination, administration, and execution of this project, the Matthews Company, C.A. Howell and Company, Greater Nashville Regional Council, Barge, Wagner, Sumner and Cannon, De Novo Concepts, Centric Architecture, Power Management Corporation, Beacon Technologies, Interior Design Services, R.C. Matthews Contractor, Wellspring Builders, and Metro Nashville Public Works. To our esteemed and highly dedicated board of directors led by our chairman, Clayton McWhorter, from whom you'll hear later today. And last but certainly not least, to the team at the Entrepreneur Center. Michael Burcham, our president and CEO, my other colleagues, Clay, John, Marty, and David, and the hundreds of EC mentors, volunteers, and business partners that have gotten us this far. Please help me give a warm thank you to all of these wonderful folks. As the owner of the property, the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency has been an incredibly diligent and wonderful visionary for the Sobro area, transforming it piece by piece into yet another reason why Nashville is going to be the best place in America to start and grow a business. So I'm sure it's no surprise to you when I say that over the past 2 years, they have been an amazing partner during this arduous journey, helping us to navigate the multitude of complexities and bureaucracies that we've encountered along the way. Phil Ryan has been the Executive Director of MDHA since 2002, where he leads 300 employees who house more than 28,000 Nashvillians. Mr. Ryan has worked for the State of Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development and as a commercial loan officer for a bank. He holds a master's degree in city planning from the University of Tennessee. And it now gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the Executive Director of MDHA, a friend of the Entrepreneur Centers and a friend of mine, Mr. Phil Ryan.
We, like you, share the excitement for the Entrepreneur Center coming into this large, permanent new facility as their permanent home going forward. Everyone located here at the Trolley Barns, I think, is very excited about this new neighbor. We've all talked about it and anticipated it for a long time. It's going to be a great fit for the Entrepreneur Center, we think. For those of you who aren't familiar with this space, these structures are from the FDR administration. Works Progress Administration built these buildings in the 30s and 40s. And for a number of years, they served as the maintenance spot for a variety of metro buildings, buses and trolleys, and who knows what was maintained here for many, many years. But today, they have a very different function. This is where innovation and new ideas come, perhaps to be tuned up, created. As we work through the adaptive reuse of these buildings with the Matthews Group, and Bert Matthews couldn't be with us here today, and he sends his regrets. But as we work with Bert and his team, the tenants and some of the early tenants talked about what kind of campus would this be? What could happen here? And we came up with the term creative campus. I think Louis Levine, Louis, where are you? Louis is here somewhere. Yeah, I think that was your term. It's a great term. The vision for this location has been that companies and organizations would be thinking about ways to achieve their goals and create new ideas that others hadn't thought of. The Center for Nonprofit Management, Hands on Nashville, is here in the building right next to us. They would look at creative ways that individuals and nonprofit organizations could address our community's needs, and we've seen that over and over in our city and a better place for it. Just up the hill, as I mentioned, we broke ground on Ryman Lofts, which in the new year will house artists and musicians of Nashville, the true creators of the Music City brand, which we're also proud of. And of course, the Entrepreneur Center will be here helping the next generation of business owners and job creators develop the tools that they need to succeed. The idea is that all these different people, all these different companies living and working together in proximity to each other would be able to watch their neighbors' progress and learn from it. And innovation that sparks success in one company might spark an idea that addresses a need in another area, or inspire a work of art that generates a whole different set of conversations. So, I will say welcome to this Creative Community Entrepreneur Center, and it is now my pleasure to introduce John Ingram. John is a well-known entrepreneur in his own right, business owner, chairman and CEO of the Ingram Content Group and chairman of the board of Ingram Industries. And John is also a tireless contributor to the education and training of young minds, serving on the Board of Trust at Vanderbilt University, as well as MBA in Harpeth Hall. And it should come to be no surprise to any of us that John is part of the Entrepreneur Center. Please join me in welcoming John Ingram.
Thank you, Phil. That's the nicest thing anybody ever said about me. You know, Nashville has always been a creative place, and this Entrepreneur Center is the home of the next generation of innovators, leaders, and philanthropists that are in this area. The mission of the center is really to help entrepreneurs start and grow companies and to create jobs in Middle Tennessee. And in this time of great economic uncertainty, really, is there anything more important than creating jobs? I'm not sure there really is. This facility is important because it's giving the Entrepreneur Center the permanence and a platform that will enhance the fulfillment of this mission, encouraging startups, supporting early stage business foundation, and helping to bring innovation to the market. I personally couldn't be prouder to be involved with a more relevant and important investment in Nashville, our citizens, and our all of our collective prosperity. There are a lot of people that have been important to the realization of today, and I give my thanks to each one. There is one in particular that is as emblematic of the entrepreneurial history in this community as anyone could possibly imagine. And that person is Clayton McWhorter. You know, I've had the privilege of getting to know Clayton over the years as he served on the Ingram Industries board. And most of us know his story as the founder, one of the founders of Health Trust in the late 80s, and the important roles he played there, and with HCA when Health Trust merged with HCA in the mid-90s. But I think Clayton has always been more at home as an entrepreneur, and I'm glad to say that Ingram is a minority partner with Clayton in Clayton Associates, which he founded in 1996 to provide venture capital to startup companies. To me, Clayton, he's just an unstoppable entrepreneur. And I say, heck, he can't even stop himself. And if I had $1 for every time, Clayton, you said you were going to retire, this capital campaign would already be over. But quite frankly, I'm glad that you can't stop, because being an entrepreneur is in his blood. And this center, myself, and the Middle Tennessee community are better off because he just can't stop being who he is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome Clayton McWhorter.
Wow, I should say hello and sit down. John, thank you for those kind remarks. Yeah, thank all of you for being here today and for your interest and support. I think Sam has thanked about everyone that should be thanked, so I won't repeat all that. But to say that it's been an honor for me to be the founding chair for this Entrepreneur Center. I recall one of our early board meetings, Bert Matthews were presenting this concept to be the possibility of new home for the Entrepreneur Center. And we were on the 18th floor of Bassberry Sims' office, and I looked out. Of course, I'd heard about the trolley barns, but it's the first time I really got to see it from the 18th floor. And I'm going to be honest with you, I had doubts about this being our future home. But isn't it amazing what has happened here on this site? I mean, it's unbelievable, and it moves the Entrepreneur Center closer to expanding its services and hopefully, Michael, creating more space for incubators and more jobs. And as John talking about the fact that I keep talking about retiring. One of our associates in our office uses the word relevance and said, he's still relevant. Yeah, relevant. Well, I feel like, maybe I am too. It's kept me young. In fact, Dennis, I feel like, maybe I'm still one of those 30-year-old enterprising entrepreneurs. And even though I'm not. But I just appreciate the fact that let an old man hang around and still be relevant. I'm not going to spend a lot of time over here. I want to take this opportunity, because it is my pleasure to get to introduce the mayor of our city. Introduce you, my friend, and the Honorable Carl Dean, the mayor. I think the man that's here for the right time in our city and is doing an unbelievable job. But Mayor, I really, truly appreciate the support that you've given to us. It's been inspiring to keep us going. And I recall back when we had the celebration here in October of last year, the rebirth of the trolley barns. I think I recall saying that I look forward to one day seeing the skyline of Nashville and what this site, the jobs that this site created and made change for our city. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our mayor, the Honorable Paul Dean.
Well, thank you, Clayton, for that introduction, and also thank you, John and Michael and everybody involved with the Entrepreneur Center. I want to take a moment to introduce Linnell Matthews. Linnell is here from the Metro Council. He's the new finance chair, so he's a very important person for you all to know, and a great guy who I think always does the right thing. And I need to say personally thank you to John and Clayton for their leadership on this. Both of these gentlemen have been steadfast in their commitment to this project and have been great advocates for this project, and I think the city's involvement is largely a testament to their involvement and their commitment to it. Also, Michael, Sam, and the Entrepreneur Center have done and will continue to do extraordinary work, and I am thrilled to participate in this groundbreaking. By moving into the historic trolley barns, the Entrepreneur Center is preserving the past to pave the way for the future of a new Nashville. By quadrupling the facility resources of the Entrepreneur Center and the many mentors who serve there, we will be better able to help grow exciting new businesses. This facility will serve as Nashville's front door for entrepreneurship and serve as an accelerator for business and for the city. Small businesses are really the backbone of our economy in this country, and nowhere is that more true than in Nashville. Nashville is a place where entrepreneurship is growing, as evidenced by accolades from the Rolling Stone magazine to Forbes, who have all praised Nashville for its creativity and its inventiveness. Our city has a storied tradition of entrepreneurship and creativity. Nearly 23% of Nashvillians are self-employed risk takers like many of you, confirming that our rich tradition is alive and well today. And as we convene on this hill just south of downtown, I am reminded about startups like HCA, like Ingram, and even WSM Radio. Certainly these are just 3 of the thousands of businesses that started in Nashville and have grown into global leaders. I believe that one of the factors that makes Nashville such a unique and fertile ground for entrepreneurship is our ability to attract an educated and creative workforce. When you think about all the people who come here to pursue their dreams in the music industry, they are entrepreneurs. Whether they're songwriters or performers or sound engineers, they make their living by creating new products, and in their case, songs and art. We have taken important steps to support the culture as a city, including investing in both the buildings for the entrepreneurship and its operations. The Music City Music Council has established a partnership with the Entrepreneur Center to help incubate startups in digital media and entertainment. This city is building Nashville's first artist residence, the Ryman Lofts, just across the street. This creative living space will provide an affordable place to live for the artists who make Nashville so special. These are just a few of the signs that this corridor is evolving into a creative community. The Entrepreneur Center and entrepreneurs like you continue this tradition of hard work, risk-taking, and refining and retooling ideas in the future. Nashville is defined as Music City, not by chance, not because we had just a few country music hits along the way, but because we support talented entrepreneurs, musicians, artists to help them succeed. And Nashville is succeeding. Last month's jobs report showed that Davidson County's unemployment rate fell to 6.6%, a full point below the national average, another sign of Nashville's resilience during hard economic times. Nashville is thriving because of entrepreneurs like you who are working in sync with Nashville Industries but also creating new industries and new products. Let me conclude by saying again how much I appreciate the work that the Nashville Entrepreneur Center is doing. I'd like to thank Michael Bersham and his team once again for their dedication and vision in making this a reality. I truly believe that Nashville's best days are ahead of it, and it's because of groups like this that guides my faith in this great city. Thank you, and Michael.
Two quick things before I make a few remarks. First is, if you are here, we have a board in the corner we would love you to sign before you leave. We want to memorialize everyone that was in attendance today. There's plenty of places for your signature, and it will hang in our building for the next 50 years. So if you're here today, make that known to future generations by signing the board in the corner. Also, we have a beautiful buffet out front, a la Nashville food trucks, and we hope you will stop and visit them as you finish. For many of us here today, we do what we do because we believe we were put on this earth for a specific purpose, to create change. And I'm really proud of the change the Entrepreneur Center has made for Nashville. We were born as a center in 2007 out of the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce Partnership 2010 initiative. The early pioneers of this adventure, and I will say adventure, have been Bobby Frist, Mike Smerling, Todd Feathering, Janet Miller, Mark Montgomery, and Joe Kostelski. They had the dream long before I had the opportunity to pick it up and do something with it. In the past 24 months, we went from an idea to an absolute explosion. We've screened over 1,000 new startup concepts. That's led to over 50 new companies being created in our community that have raised over $10 million in seed and angel capital, and already they employ over 200 people here in our city. Over the past 6 months, our city has been consistently ranked as one of the top 5 places in America to start a business. When we started this initiative, we were ranked number 15. So give yourself some applause. But I think most of us aren't really surprised, because if you look at the history of this city over the past 200 years, you'll find that behind every great historic milestone, every public offering, every significant piece of legislation, every social or civil rights movement, or a chart-busting song has been an entrepreneurial leader that made it happen. Our city's entrepreneurial leaders have done so ever since James Robertson floated down the Cumberland. So it seems only fitting to me that we're standing here today to celebrate the creation of our permanent home for the center, a center that just so happens to overlook that very same Cumberland River. Our team screens dozens of new business ideas every single week. It's a tough job. And I'm often referred to as the Simon Cowell of startups because I do make a few cry. But I take the responsibility very seriously. These are these people's American dream, and it's not to be played with. They need honest feedback and real help. And with real help, they can turn them into a real dream that becomes a business. I've seen in the past few months a 10-year-old with a briefcase that thought he could create a company, and a single mom with a dream for something different for her children, and everything in between. And when you screen as many new startup companies as we do, you have to have a system to stay focused. Our system is really simple. We give ideas an A, a B, or a C. And notice I said idea, not people. The C's I have to convince not to quit their day job just yet, and maybe take a little training. The B's, our mentors educate on the improvements they can be made before they're ready for prime time. And then there are the A's. The A's are those that have something really special. It's a combination of a great idea, an identified market, a willingness to learn, and most importantly, a particular character trait that I can see almost a mile away. And it has nothing to do with where they were born, or where they went to school, or the color of their skin, or how much money they have. They all share a unique trait that distinguishes them as a real entrepreneurial leader, and it's called grit. It's what makes a successful entrepreneur, and it's what the most famous entrepreneur I know, Thomas Edison, referred to when he said, "The genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." Grit's the quality that allows people to accomplish their goals, to actualize their dreams, and to create legacies. But because we're here in Nashville, I made a slight adjustment, and I call it grits. Grits is what makes Nashville entrepreneurs really special. The G represents a goal, because if you've been around many of us, you know that we have real clarity of purpose, and we work with a goal and a zest that is almost unimaginable. Sometimes we can see nothing but our goal. The R is for resilience. We learn to deal with stress and live in uncertainty, and we know how to develop mental hardness to persevere even though we're hearing tough news about our story every day. The third dimension of grit is the ability to innovate. The entrepreneurs I admire more than any are those that have a sharp distaste for the status quo and drive all of us to think beyond yesterday's solutions for tomorrow's problems and embrace your curiosity. And fourth, they trust themselves, and more importantly, they learn to trust the people around them. And it's rooted in a confident expectation of optimism and in hope, which is why I think this country is built around entrepreneurial hope. Finally, the one trait that I admire more than anything that you find only in Nashville entrepreneurs is that they tend to share their success, or as we say in entrepreneurial circles, we pay it forward. This is one of Nashville's absolutely strongest assets, and when so many people visit us and talk to me about what makes Nashville different, I refer to this particular characteristic. We are a city blessed with leaders, many of you who are standing here with me today, that you understand that doing well and doing good are not the same thing. And you're mindful to do both. I know firsthand what it means to have someone pay it forward. As a poor kid growing up in Mississippi, I had someone reach out to me as a mentor, and that's made all the difference in my life, which is why I do what I'm doing now, to give other young entrepreneurs that same opportunity that a group of incredible men and women gave me when I arrived in Nashville to start my job at HCA. We're doing the hard work to create a world-class center for our city. And if you're currently involved, I want to deeply thank you for what you're doing. If you've not yet had the opportunity to be involved in our work, I invite you to enjoy the hundreds of men and women who have already committed themselves to our mission to make Nashville the best place in America to start and grow a business. Under the leadership of John Ingram, Lee Walton, Mark Montgomery, Chris Calton, and with the incredible support of Kay Simmons, Deborah Cole, David Pack, and Clay Jackson, we have a campaign underway to develop the support and programming so that our city's entrepreneur dreamers have the opportunity to live out their own American dream. We have a phenomenal board led by Clayton McWhirter, and when this building opens, our workspace for our startups is going to be named something special for Clayton. If you ever got to visit Clayton's first site for Clayton Associates, had this open space called the Bullpen, and it's where so many of Nashville's now famous healthcare companies were started. And if you join us here in a few months when we open the door, just beyond this garage door will be Nashville's own Bullpen to honor that legacy. I want to close today by honoring all of my entrepreneurial brothers and sisters that I see standing out here today with this little quote. Some of you will recognize its source as I start. Here's to all you crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, all you round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see the world differently. They're not fond of rules, so you can quote them, you can disagree with them, you can glorify them, or you can vilify them, but the one thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward, and while some of you may see them as crazy, I see genius. I see genius in you, Marcus Whitney. I see genius in Jason Moore. I see genius in Joe Scarlett and Bobby Frist, Nick Holland, Will Weaver, Julia Polk. So many of you that are the genius that is changing Nashville today. Because you are those who are crazy enough to think you can change the world, and you'll probably be the ones who do. May God bless each of you with enough foolishness to believe that you too can make a difference in this world, and that you'll go out and do what others claim cannot be done. I thank you for joining us today as we begin to transform this building into a house of dreams. Thank you for being the entrepreneurial leaders you are for our city.
for enriching the lives of the people in this community and for making Nashville better. And I hope that you will join us here in a few short months when we officially open and dedicate this building to the next 50 years of service to our city, to ensure that our children and grandchildren continue to grow, live, and prosper right here in Nashville and make this one of the world's greatest entrepreneurial cities. Thank you for being here.